Things like this are so needed so that you know that you're not alone in the almost burnout that you feel, because
Yeah.
burnout does
Yeah.
not recognize titles, burnout does not recognize where you've been, how many conferences you've done, how many people you've spoken to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Burnout just gets you
Yeah.
because you give yourself up so much to help
Mm.
others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the happiest pod on earth. I'm Ariel, a licensed therapist and graduate student working towards her doctorate who uses clients, passions, and fandoms to help them grow and heal from trauma and mental and wellness.
And I'm Steph. I'm an educator who is not getting her doctorate, but is a staunch supporter of my best friend who is. But I'm an educator who uses my passions and fandoms to help my students grow and learn about themselves and the world around them.
And I'm Shaelene. I'm a somatic DBT therapist who will use any chance that I get to swap in a Disney related metaphor into my sessions with clients.
Yay! And here at Happiest Pod, we dissect Disney mediums with a critical lens. Why? Because we are more than just fans. We expect more from the mediums we consume.
And with that, we are back after a kind of long hiatus, and we are so excited to have Shaelene here on the pod. And we are going to be talking about everything and everything Disney related because we just had a fantastic time with her.
So, Shaelene, can you let us know what was Clinically Ever After? How did it come about? How did you get that thing done? What was that experience?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. And it's funny because I feel like I'm getting to spend more time with y'all now after you spoke at my event. And now it's like, I want to hang out with you guys. So I'm excited to be here and talk to you. Clinically Ever After was a really amazing conference in Disney World that was continuing education for mental health therapists. And it was my project and it was my first time doing it. And it came from just going to another conference last year. I was presenting at a conference and I left and I was feeling I always leave them feeling like so energized just from being able to connect with new people and make new friends and learn new things and all of that stuff. And we had a long drive home and I was talking to my husband and just talking. And I was like, I wonder if anyone would go to a conference in Disney World. And I put a post on Facebook and people were like, yeah, we would totally do that. And I was like, okay, so we will see. And bam, then a little less than a year later, it actually happened. I'm kind of like, wow, it did actually happen. Oh my God.
I'm sure that was such a in the moment realization for you. Like, did you have any moments while it was happening that like a that's so Raven moment? Like, is this really happening?
Yeah, for sure. Just little things that I had in mind. Going to Disney is exciting. It's full of surprises. There's nostalgia. And so being able to pull off little surprises was really cool for me. And being like, oh wow, like I did it, I pulled it off. Like Mickey Mouse coming in, that was probably the most stressful surprise because there were all of these factors. Like number one, I wanted everyone to be like, oh my God, which kind of, I don't know how that's going to go in future conferences. Like I can only have so many secrets and surprises, but yeah. And then there was all these, like Mickey Mouse has all these logistics, like Mickey Mouse can't come when there's any branding out. And so he had to come in and say hello. And Mickey Mouse needs like certain music. Like 2 weeks before we had a meeting and they were saying, okay, so we're not going to be able to have Mickey come into your room, but you can make an announcement and tell everyone he's right across the hall. I was like, no, that's not like the experience that I want. That's so womp womp. Like, hey, surprise across the hall, like I wanted him to come in and surprise everyone. And it was like, well, there's another group there and we can't have him walk by their stuff. And I was like, I don't know, hold a black sheet around him.
The bride, like the big reveal.
I know you guys have figured this out. And I was like, oh, you know what? I want to get a group picture with everybody. And then I was texting and somebody at the event was like, oh, he's not back there. And I was like, dang, I thought he was supposed to be here for an hour. And I text the team and they're like, oh, he needs a little cheese break after 30 minutes and then he comes back. So like they even stay in character, like the event team stays in character the whole time. So I was like, okay, great. Mickey's on his cheese break. So I was in the hallway, like sweating and people were coming in the hall. There was 2 people in the hallway, just kind of bopping around from the event. And I was like, go in the room. I need you to go back in the room. And they were like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, please just go back in the room. You'll understand in a moment. So having moments like that and then like seeing people's face, I was just like, this was really cool.
The stress was worth it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I'll say too, holding an event of that scale and having it at Disney, and just, there's just so many things that you don't know how it's going to go. And I think like for me, that fear was around like, how's it going to go? Are people going to like this? But also like, are there secret costs that I don't know about? Am I going to just get this insane bill that I wasn't ready for? Like I wanted to know everything down to, so having all of that sitting there and then leaving the conference, and still my husband was like, you seem like you're ready to go home, but you're energized. Like you're not, like I've presented at other conferences before and I've left real tired from just all the peopling and stuff. So I was surprised that I didn't feel like dead from hosting my own thing, hosting it at Disney World, which in itself, you know, it's super fun, but is intense. So I was like, yeah, that does fit. Like I felt really good leaving even after hosting.
Yeah, I like that you're identifying a couple of things. The first thing is we have a friend who has thrown a play therapy conference at Disneyland, and this will be the third year. And we found out the first year we wanted to gift her ears that were decorated, right? You know, you can go and they can do styling and you can pick from a booklet, this font, these images. There were so many logistics. We weren't allowed to put the word therapy, can't put doctor. You can't put date ranges because it could appear like a birth and death date to like an observer. The reason you can't put therapy or doctor is it looks like the company is endorsing this person. You can't put conference, even though the conference is being held at the Disneyland Resort. And so one of the things they're identifying is there's these hidden logistics around working with a corporation.
Yeah.
And that can amplify our fear of what else is hidden. What don't I know that somehow others do?
For sure. But I also think too, there's probably an element of like stuff that I need to work out in my own therapy or things I've been working out, which is just like, oh, you need to know what you're doing. Like you need to have this together. You need to be triple checking everything. And, you know, there were some things that didn't go how I wanted them to go or how I had planned, but all in all, it exceeded how I thought it would go, given that I'm so like, oh, I want this to go a certain way. I want it to be perfect. I don't want there to be any surprises. So I think, yes, it's like there's truth in that. And especially with Disney being such a huge corporation and it's such a, you know, they make so much money. So they would casually throw things at me like the fireworks, for example, having everyone go to the fireworks. They were like, okay, well, to charter the buses to take your guests, it's going to be X thousand dollars. I was like, no, everyone's just going to take the bus. Like, isn't that how people get to parks? And they were like, you know, most people they want, and I'm like, I am just me here. Like, this is my little Rebel Mente is just me. Like, I don't have a corporation. I'm not. So when you're working with, and it's funny because when I was planning it, I was getting ads for some leadership summit happening at Coronado Springs, and it was held by like Dave Ramsey, the like a money guy. And I was so curious, like I wanted to go in and be like, how much is this? Like, what are they offering? What's going on? But I had to set up a call to find out. And I was like, all right, I'm out. But people like that are holding these huge things, I don't think it's a big deal. Like when you're up in that space, I don't think for people it's a big deal to be like, oh, it's going to be a couple $1,000s. And I'm like, sorry, we're going to have to bus it with everybody else. Like, it's not. So there's little elements of my own stuff and the reality of, yeah, this is a big deal. It's kind of scary.
Yeah. And I think in the planning, and I want to back up a little bit, like your mindset into preparing for these unknowns. Did you have somebody kind of guiding you, or did you learn about all of these things as like a researcher? Like how did you have any sort of support like that?
Or like a template?
Yeah, no, like yes and no. I had held 2 conferences before that were much smaller scale, like maybe 30 people max for group practice owners. And once you host something, you kind of know how it is, like dealing with vendors and different kind of like red tape and stuff like that people will have, food and beverage minimums. Like you start to know a little bit about that. And then friends, some friends have also held really big conferences. So I would ask them questions but there was a lot of figuring it out on the fly, especially the Disney element. And I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable doing it there have I not been to Disney so many times myself. Like I felt a lot more confident because I could envision like, okay, well, if it's at EPCOT, it's probably going to be over here and it's going to take about, like, I know that there's free buses. I don't need $1,000 buses.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that was the advantage because, whenever we talk about like bringing people to the parks for the first time or like accommodating to somebody who's maybe been to Disneyland and then bringing them to Disney World, I think knowing it like the back of your hand is so important when you're planning an experience for people.
So fun. Yeah. I love there's like a sticker that I've seen or a meme that's like when you bring your friends to Disney and they're like, where's the map? And you're like, I am the map.
I am the map.
I am the map. I am the map. Me.
So when was the first time you've ever been to Disney World? If you want to bring us all the way back.
I first went to Disney when I was about 15. I didn't go to Disney when I was younger. I started going to Disney as an adult in like 20 when my husband and I met. That was like our trip that we would go on. We couldn't afford to go to Disney, so I went when I was like 15, and my mom was in the military and they were doing some sort of military thing for vets, and so she brought us. And even still, like I remember just it was still really expensive. So we stayed in this little rundown motel and we would catch the bus and we would go to the bus at like 7 a.m. and we would be so exhausted because we would have to stay there all day till the bus came back at like 10 p.m. And we would I remember just riding like the ferry boat that takes you to like the hotel just to rest. We were just riding transportation. But yeah, I don't think it was and then I went for my senior trip in high school and that was really cool, but I really didn't go. Most of my time has been as an adult, and even as an adult, like in my 30s, that's really when I started going more.
I love how that's a different perspective. And, I feel like a lot of Disney adults are actually somehow tied to the military because in this economy, I feel like that's the most affordable way to go because at least you're taking care of some of it, which, shout out to Disney for doing that.
Yeah.
But I love that coming in as an adult, you have a different perspective of navigating parks. And I feel like that's one of the organizational gears in your head that fit in right away as you're planning to do this. Because to us as attendees and as participants, it was flawless. I think, we know what it is to do logistics at a park, even just bringing somebody with kids, somebody who's never been there before. And that takes so much planning and accommodation. And for you to have done that for not just a handful, but a whole big group of people who has varying needs and accommodations, I think it was great. It was so successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it felt like a well-oiled machine there. And I know because Steph runs live events in her work, and I've done virtual online events. There is a lot of planning and organizing that goes into it. But when we're talking about the personal, like I know for me, there have been ideas I've had for conferences at other theme parks that I have not executed because of just that imposter syndrome. Like who do I think I am to have the right to host this like big thing? Did you have any of that coming up? Did you have to challenge any of that? Do you have to hype yourself up?
I don't for this event, I don't think so, because I think that and that's not that I haven't had that before. I've definitely had that and still do have that in different areas of my life. But I don't know. There was something about this, like as hard as it was. And I say hard, like I did have moments of stress, but it was easy in other ways. I think just because of how my brain works, because probably a lot of things that I've worked on in myself. But I was just like, if anyone's going to have a conference at Disney, like it would be me, because I love Disney. Like the whole I am the map thing. And so all the people who were signing up, there were so many people who I had never met before. It started out, I was thinking and hoping, like, I had some worry of like, will people come, or will this be like pew pew and Shaelene had an event in Disney, but it was 10 people or something, that was the fear that I had, is just like, am I ready to host something this big by myself? That was the scary point. But so there were so many people coming and they were like, I've never been there before. And I was like, oh my God, girl, we are going to have a time.
Yeah.
So that part felt easier, and there were some things that I questioned, like my dad was DJing, and I was like, I don't know, DJ at a conference, like, first of all, is he gonna make a joke that's inappropriate? Because he makes jokes that are not appropriate all the time. Is he gonna, is the vibe gonna be too overstimulating and all, but like that's that's how I grow up. I have music on all the time because my dad's a DJ, and so it only made sense to me, like, we're having an event, it should be fun, let's play some music. So there were things like that I was like, I don't know if people are gonna like this, but we'll see. But yeah, it was more in pieces than, you know, the event itself.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is like you were also accommodating everyone. You didn't forget to be authentically yourself. And I think that's what I heard from you. And I even got to talk to your dad a little bit. And I think because he knows how important this is to you, I feel like maybe he had an air of, maybe I shouldn't say that joke, even though he really wanted to. I can see him sometimes trying to be like,
he restrained himself.
But I think, you know, with that, whenever anybody is putting together an event or something that a lot of people are gathered together, I feel like sometimes we get so in the weeds about like accommodating everyone else that we forget that we got to accommodate ourselves as the organizer too, and protect our peace. So I really enjoyed that you had music there. I think that added such a fun and relaxing element to it. I mean, as an aspiring DJ myself, like I enjoyed it.
I was like, okay.
And I was talking to your dad about it. But, you know, I feel like that also accommodates to other people's comfort level. And that speaks. And I feel like, as you know, you all as therapists, you know that there's different ways to reach people. And I think that was just another layer of giving that comfort to people who are wanting to learn more about how to improve their practice.
Well, and I think like conceptualizing in my mind, like we're at Disney World. Like, why have a conference there if it doesn't feel fun or lively? And it, therefore, to me, makes sense that we are adding music, some sort of playful element, or that there were fidget objects on the table, that it wasn't just the business cards of like different people. I think that's unfortunately the problem with a lot of professional conferences is they feel so professional. You almost don't actually get to be yourself. And when we're talking about therapy and the Therapeutic Alliance, supervisees that I have that aren't tapping into who they naturally are and the way they naturally speak, they don't retain clients as long because 100%. The clients can tell that like something about you ain't you. I've never met you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I was laughing when Steph was like, I talked to your dad, because I'm like, who didn't talk to him? Like, he was literally talking to everybody. He was talking to everybody, he had that personality. But yeah, I agree. That's really what I wanted. I wanted people, like, we're in Disney. So when I spoke to the sponsors, I was like, listen, like, you guys can't just all bring pens. You can't all bring pens because we're in Disney World. So like, if you want to get the most out of this, and that was an interesting thing too, because I haven't, again, this was my first time holding an event completely by myself and of this scale and in Disney World and having sponsors and everything. But I met with the sponsors and I was like, listen, my advice to you to get the most out of this is to really lean into the fact that we're in Disney World. And I'll say the sponsors who did that practicery, their table was amazing. And they had a really great return on their investment in terms of working with getting new clients and working with new therapists and all. And I think that's because their table was so exciting and inviting. Like they had that, what was that steamy bubble maker? Did you see that?
Yeah,
they were like making bubbles with smoke inside of it.
It was wild.
I just looked back there and I was like, what is happening back there? But I was like, yes, like, this is exactly what I was hoping for. So, and I loved that about the presentation that the two of you had. I mean, it was obviously centered around play, but it was so much fun. Like for me, not being a therapist that's working with kids or anything, but for being a mom, I was like so locked in. I was, and a big part of that was because y'all made it really fun and you had really great prizes. Like I was like, oh my God, these are like, they're giving out ears. Like this is really
Yeah, we don't want to be cheap. We want to skimp out on our prizes because they're like, oh yeah, prizes. You mean like
you're gonna get a piece of candy? Yeah. I was like, they're not messing around.
You can tell strawberry candy. Enough. Yeah, you can tell we've been to enough like educational conferences and therapy conferences that we've gotten pretty not so great gifts.
Yeah.
To where, we had to really amp it up. But I think everybody was so welcoming. I think me and Ariel, I don't know, Ariel chime in. We were very overwhelmed by the response of everyone in the room after we spoke because, we become sometimes a whole nother entity when we get on stage and like I don't know what
dissociated. I can version of me. I don't know who she is. I've never met her.
And then we just kind of like go into that and it just comes out the way it comes out, right? You plan
Yeah.
for everything, and it's like teaching. You do a lesson plan, you plan it to the T. Nothing goes planned, but for some reason
you go with it.
we go with it. And I think that resonated with so many people. And I feel like after that, everyone, to me, felt so much more relaxed to share with each other
I
and
agree.
with the speakers. And that was actually not an intention of ours.
Yeah.
It just happened, right, Ariel?
Yeah. I know for me, I was very shocked. There were people are coming up to us saying like, I don't work with children. I don't work in schools. I didn't think this talk would have anything for me. And I really loved it. Yours was the best one of the day. And like that like blew my mind because I don't know what I said.
Same.
And then I think the other thing as like being a speaker and presenter, because Steph and I have spoken at WonderCon and Comic-Con, it's slightly different because we're moderators. Like the focus isn't on us. We're highlighting other people.
Right.
So we had to highlight ourselves. And I think that added maybe another layer of like assumption that what I had to say was not as vital or as important or would be received with so much like endearment.
Yeah. And I think maybe that was because we've been moderating for so long. I feel like all of that inside of us that's been meaning to come out just kind of like fell out of our mouths at the time. And we're like, it is what it is at this point. But yeah, it was so, I think, I don't know if you know everybody personally who came to the conference or not, but
I don't.
Everyone seemed so just relaxed with each other, and there was no bad vibes. And I don't know
the
if that
vibes
was
were
like,
very good.
Yeah, it was the stroke of luck, or just, maybe the parameters and the norms. I feel like whenever I do a professional development or whenever I do things with adult training, you have to set norms for everybody so that they're not acting out of pocket. They're not, saying things that are
That's
potentially rude,
That is always like something I've been a part of a good amount of events as a speaker. I've been very blessed to be able to do things like that. And I've seen the behind the scenes of events for other people. So the out of pocket person, that's always a fear. Like even if I think out of pocket in the therapist world, given therapists are so like empathetic and, they're all into their feelings. Sometimes I think my fear around that is generally like offending somebody or or missing an accommodation, like I missed this person's pronouns didn't print on their thing, or it could be something like that. But yeah, you don't know how it's gonna go. And I was looking at the list and I was like, I'd say a solid 60% of these people I have never met before. And then seeing where people came from, I mean, y'all came from the West Coast, which is a huge deal, but I was like, dang, Holly came from Hawaii. I was like, you flew here from Hawaii? And then someone came from Canada, which I thought was even wilder because we live in the United States right now. And I was like, you came here? That's amazing. Like you came for this. So there was a lot of people and I'm curious about that now with what you're asking. How did it show up that way? Was it just the right people coming together? Does anything, I tried in the emails and in Facebook group chats and things like that to try and get people to connect. I had a couple community calls to just kind of talk people through, you're going to Disney, like here's how you can plan it, because it's overwhelming. But it was a great group, and it continues to be. I wasn't expecting the aftermath in such a positive way of people to be they're just so excited, and they're like, I can't wait until next year. Like, are you going to do another one? The other day, somebody emailed me just out of the blue, and they were like, I saw what you're doing at Disney, and I want to pitch to speak 2028. Here are my thoughts. And I was like, 2028? I'm a planner, but oh my gosh. Like, so that, like, I think the vibe, given that it was really good, it does feel contagious. And that is something that's so special. And if I were afraid of anything, I would be afraid of that somehow getting messed up, because seeing how people left so encouraged and inspired and connected, and just finding another way to like find small joys in their day. Like people are sharing, like, I'm looking at this swag for next year. Look at this cute. Like there was this whole thing about, did y'all know about the Bath and Body Works Princess Collection, Disney Princess Collection?
I did.
I haven't been in Bath and Body Works in years. Like it's too much. It's too overstimulated. Like I haven't been in there in a long time. But then the attendees, they're like, guys, there's this new collection. So then everyone's going to Bath and Body Works. And then all of a sudden I am spending like
oh my goodness
$200 on things like this.
Okay, not gonna
Oh,
lie, I had to get the I think it's the fragrance diffuser because it had the Mulan fans. It's so
I have
cute.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
got
so
that too.
cute.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden it's like now we're all there and we're all connecting
Yeah.
about just like, this common special interest around Disney. And the other thing that's been really funny is by talking about Disney and by holding this conference, I swear I have people like adult therapists, they're like coming out to me. They're like, so, I saw you like Disney and I really like Disney too. And, really been open about it. And I'm like, what do you mean you haven't been open about it? Like, talk to me about everything that's Disney, So that's been really funny too. I think it gives people it like welcomes people into that playful aspect. And I think that's what y'all did at the conference.
Thank you.
yes, I think you set the tone for the event and it created an opportunity for people to feel welcome and seen. And what I tend to notice at any event that I've spoken at or attended, that out of pocket person oftentimes is a clinician who's like burnt out.
Yeah.
And they expect this talk to fix whatever is going on. And it's way more interconnected. Whereas the conference, it seemed like there were clinicians who already knew that they were getting towards burnout and that they were willing to change to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if, having the conference at Disney gave that vulnerability, because I feel like people who tend to go to Disney are not afraid to be childlike.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, what kids love to do is think they know everything, but they're also not afraid to say, I don't know something, because they're kids. They don't have that pridefulness yet that makes them stop them from doing that. So I'm wondering if that was a factor in setting the tone without actually naming it, because I think even with Yunetta's first speech about, naming something, what was the word that she used? Raggedy about yourself.
Yeah.
I think that was the perfect, platform to tell everybody, listen, we all have our flaws.
Yeah.
Let's address them and let's grow from them. And I think, I don't know if you meant that strategic, because she's amazing in itself, but I think that really, set the tone.
Not strategic in that I knew, like I've worked with Yunetta a lot and she's so incredible. So I knew she's funny because she was messaging me like days before. I can't remember if she said this in her presentation, but they were just in a couple of them, Jen, Dominique, and Yunetta, they were just in South Africa, like the week before on a retreat. And so Jen and Yunetta were my VA, Kelly Sue, was like, I have everyone's slides, but I don't have theirs. Like, and now you're in Disney, Yunetta's first. I just want to make sure I was like, she's gonna get it done. Like, don't worry about it. It's funny because we joke about things like that. So I knew that she was gonna come and be the energy that everyone needed to not only to open up in a really strong and engaging way, but also to just like, she has such a great way of teaching something that's very clinical in a way that's really relatable, like by calling it raggedy, because you're like, oh, I know what that is, and getting away from that, really jargony place. So putting her there was strategic, but I didn't know what she was going to say or what she was going to do. It just always works out because that's just kind of her gift.
I think I'm hearing, as I'm like listening to our conversation, there is community that's being built because of this conference. But in order for you to build the conference, you also tapped into the community you already developed.
Yes, I'm glad that you say that, because I've seen with other conferences too, I put a feedback survey out, and maybe like there weren't many, but there was some feedback around like feeling that the speakers were all in this group together and that it felt like kind of cliquey. And I've seen that kind of feedback at every event that I've been like a speaker behind the scenes to the host. I do see that. And I think that it isn't a really intimidating scenario to come into an event and not know anybody. Like, you've traveled for the event and you don't know anybody. And then you see other people who are clearly connected. It automatically can feel like you're not a part of something. Somewhat recently, there's an event that I'm speaking at in Maine, the Doubt Yourself, Do It Anyway Summit, hosted by Patrick and Jen. They're good friends of mine. I've done a bunch of events with them. I've seen questions like in Facebook groups and stuff. Well, what do you have to do to get chosen at these things? And on the one hand, it definitely, there is a level of skill, expertise in the area, those kinds of things. But for the person hosting the event, they're putting themselves on the line, especially, you know, if they're doing it for the first time like me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if people don't show up, or if this isn't good, I'm going to have to come up with minimally $40,000 to pay for this room block, you know, like I am on the line. And so part of the reason that I start with that group of people that I know is because I know their work. I know they're not going to let me down. I know they're going to help me sell it. I know that if I'm stuck and nobody signed up, they're going to get on the phone and call their families and be like, we're all going to go to Disney for a couple of days because Shaelene has this room block that she couldn't fill. So there is a level, I think there is a level of truth in, like, there are these circles that exist, but I do think there also is this space of, like, there is an invitation, hopefully, to find either, not necessarily like trying to find your way into a specific group, but just being open to connecting, you know, and letting that guard down, to not think that you're being excluded, but to just kind of be uncomfortable and talk to people. I know when we were there, and you referenced this in your talk, Ariel, like you were talking about how this can happen with trading cards, like Pokemon cards and stuff like that, because it breaks the barrier of like the awkwardness to go up to somebody. And at Disney, it's the same way. So I hope that contributed to the vibe of people feeling so connected to one another overall in the majority, because people would go up to one another and be like, oh my God, your ears are so cute. Or where did you get that bag? Or is that the Bath and Body hand sanitizer or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it was like a great mingling event for just people who enjoy Disney and people who just, I think, enjoy being with like-minded individuals. Whether, I mean, me, I'm technically an outsider. I'm not a therapist by any means, but I feel like an educator is kind of a pseudo therapist unwillingly with clients we didn't ask for.
100%.
Given. And I think, you know, there wasn't an air of like, you have to have like all these credentials after your name. Like you just have to be somebody who is willing to help. You are somebody who's willing to learn and willing, you know, to better yourself. And I think even for your other vendors that might not have had anything to do with that, like I think Morgan Stanley and you know, other, like I feel like they were touched.
They did. They were like, I've learned so much. And I'm like, I really love that. And my dad, well, I was messing with, I was like, are you listening to this talk about parents and how this impacts their kids?
Generational trauma.
Yeah. Like, are you listening to that? And then he comes over and he makes a joke, like when Dominique's like hyping everyone up and charge your worth. And he looks at me from across this is while she's speaking. He's like, you owe me more money. And I'm like, this is the stuff. This is why I wasn't going to bring you, you know? But I agree. I think people really were learning more stuff. And you're right. Being a teacher, you are in the position of doing therapy without getting recognized, paid, or trained in the appropriate way. We could have bartenders come. We could have nail techs come. We could have waxers come. Like all the people who are in these positions with people in celebratory or vulnerable or routine parts of their lives that really open themselves to all of that. So I was like, oh, you fit right in. Like, come on back.
Yeah. And thank you for being open-minded, because I know not everybody, you know, with such a concentrated group of people, not everybody is open-minded to have other folks like that. So, you know, thank you from somebody who benefited from that greatly, because it really did energize me, at least, you know, to get to know my worth, to know, you know, what I'm capable of. And I think in the profession of giving and giving and giving, things like this are so needed, so that you know that you're not alone in the almost burnout that you feel, because burnout does not recognize titles. Burnout does not recognize where you've been, how many conferences you've done, how many people you've spoken to. Burnout just gets you because you give yourself up so much to help others. And I think that being the base criteria for attending that, whether they were a vendor or a speaker or a first time Disney goer, I think it was something that everyone can relate to.
Yeah, for sure. And it was great having you, because it was just like, well, one, I don't think people knew that you weren't a therapist until at some point you said it, and then they were like, oh, you know, but in such a good way. Like it was nice to have your perspective as an educator who is in there, like in the trenches with the kids all the time, as opposed to an hour a week or whatever that therapy pace looks like. So I think
it was stressful. I was like, all of these people are so professional and they're so accomplished. What am I doing?
But also they're sitting there watching your presentation with ears on and like, you know, grabbing churros and they're in their shirts.
If I wasn't so confident in my Disney skills and knowledge, I don't think I would have had the confidence to do it. And obviously, presenting with Ariel, who, is my best friend, like, I think that made it so much more bearable for
Mm-hmm.
me. And she will tell you the aftermath was not cute because I was just like, my adrenaline was so high and like I came down, I crashed like extremely
Yeah.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the reality of it, right? And I think pushing
Yeah.
myself and other people pushing themselves to interact and be
Yeah.
vulnerable, I think that was just part of the collective experience, which I think goes back to what you were saying, that there's now this bond that everybody has who's
Mm-hmm.
attended. And
Mm-hmm.
usually people are bonded by trauma, but this was the actual opposite. They were bonded by the
Winning.
winning and
Yeah.
the camaraderie. So yeah, I was just thinking about that. I think that's hilarious because
That is really
in education
funny.
we're always bonded by trauma, but this is the complete opposite.
No, that does, yeah, that
I'm dead.
does really fit. And I wouldn't have known that either of you were nervous at all. I felt like y'all were so confident and genuine in your presentation. I had no idea. I mean, especially Ariel's like, when I say, hey, you say, and I was like, oh my God, this is like such a jam here.
Yeah, we love a
telling
good
you.
call and response. We love a good call and response. Working with kids to do it.
We can't help it.
Can't help it. No, I think, okay, again, so hearing and pulling, like zooming out, we talked about for you, Shaelene, how you left feeling more energized. So this sort of refilled your cup. It didn't actually like burn you out to do this big event.
Yeah.
And inspired you more. And we talked about how for you, Steph, and even for me, this was a stepping out of our comfort zone, but that filled our cup. So I'm hearing a connection of sometimes burnout is a lot of repeating the same thing that hurts you. Like resiliency is trying something new that could help you.
Yeah. Thinking of things differently. And especially when you're in a space that's just more creative. I don't know. I don't know that burnout. I'd be curious if there are studies on that, but like the amount of creativity that somebody's engaged in, does that exist? Probably not. Like when somebody's in a real burnout mode. In my talk, when I closed up, I was saying there's something about being in Disney. Like we're still here. We're in the States, like, but we're in a bubble. And I know people say, oh, I'm in the Disney bubble, but like it really is true. I was in the zone and just planning things and all, but I think that's just how I feel when I'm there. It's like my biggest planning points are like, we got this right at this time and we can squeeze another one if we stop and we get the snack and this is what I'm going to wear today. And so it really, Disney World being a whole world, it really does kind of pull you in that way that can really block everything else out. And I think that level of respite is really needed for anybody who's in a helping type of job where, where their work is their output.
Yeah. Well, as an art therapist, we know that creativity can really rejuvenate you because you're activating a different part of your brain, right? You aren't in your sort of logical thinking brain. You are in your feeling and limbic brain. And then if we think of just like developmentally, we think of a safe base. In this case, Disney is a safe base for you to be able to explore different aspects of yourself and then return back, right? Explore, return back. So it seems like there's a layer of what you put in specifically. There's a layer of like what the space created because of how Disney is sort of set up. And then just the magic of who came, like all of that created this beautiful, delicious, yummy experience.
Yeah. The food was good.
The food was good. The food was really good.
Yeah. I know for myself, I'm always thinking about like, okay, obviously we're at Disney. Where am I going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, coffee in between, and desserts, right?
Yeah.
Did you have an idea of what the food was at Coronado Springs? Have you stayed there before as like just for funsies?
Yeah, no, I've never stayed at that. I've never stayed at the resort. I did stop there last year on a layover. We had like a day in Orlando and I was like, let me go check out the event space. But I loved the hotel. It was gorgeous, especially for a moderate level hotel at Disney. Like historically, if I'm staying at a moderate spot, I like going to Port Orleans. But now I'm like, I don't know. The vibe here is like, it felt very high touch. I loved it there. I thought it was really beautiful there. I could see the fireworks from my room.
Wow.
Yeah, in EPCOT. Like
amazing.
We like walked in long travel day and I'm like, oh my God, the fireworks. Yeah, this is so crazy. So I wasn't expecting that, but I was really, really happy with that. In terms of the food, they basically have menus and it's like days of the week if you choose a buffet. And so you would have to do like the conference was on a Monday, Tuesday. So you have to get the Monday, Tuesday menu, or you can pick a different day, but you have to pay more money for it. And so like Monday, Tuesday, I think Tuesday we had barbecue. The first day we had Mexican, but originally whatever was on Monday to me was just kind of similar to Tuesday. And I was like, can we have a Mexican thing? Like, what can we do here without charging another $20 a person? Because those costs add up. Like it adds up quick. And so they were like, okay, we can do something within your budget. And I was like, oh my God, this was phenomenal. And I don't think I realized we were getting churros until I saw them there. And I was like,
that was my favorite. They
were my favorite too.
Good. And the chocolate was warm. Like they were better than the park churros, I thought. Like they were really good. So
yes.
Yeah. I think having that option, or, you know, going to conferences, usually you get like a boxed lunch and like maybe a soda. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be at Disney, so they better amp it up. And which they did. It blew my expectation out of the water. And even having a quick service just the hallway down, I think was really nice because, you know, for ourselves, we gathered with, you know, with our friend beforehand to get breakfast. And it was perfect because it was something not super heavy. It was light enough to where we can, you know, get energized and then be ready for the conference day. So I think having those options so close to there, like I know Disney does it on purpose, but I mean, the room that they
know
gave
what
you,
they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Yeah. And I saw like other conferences there. I'm just like, okay, I can see how this is a destination that is, you know, just it feels all inclusive, which is Disney is so good at doing.
Yeah. They said when I was there in the summertime, they had a big conference. Like when we were there, I felt like it was honestly not in Disney, but in our conference area in the convention center. It was a little kind of like ghost town. It was great because there wasn't really many other people there. Yeah. When I was there, I think it was a juvenile diabetes type thing. And they had like every single room. There was stuff in the hallways. Like, and I was just,
it was a convention.
Yeah. Like it was, they took up like the whole space and I could see everyone walking around with name tags. Like it was packed. And I was just walking through the event, like, wow, this is cool. I'm getting a vision. Like I can kind of see how this is going to go. But yeah, they have convention centers there. I think that's the biggest one. They have also at Grand Floridian and Beach Club. But Beach Club and Grand Floridian, they're more expensive. So, you know, with therapists, a room block of $265 a night, like it's just already such an expensive trip that I didn't want to go to a higher level hotel in that. So it'll probably stay there for the foreseeable future because it was really nice and it was convenient and the price was better.
Well, so as we start to transition near the end, what does next year actually look like? Is there a theme? Is there a title? Is it the same? Are you going to rinse and repeat?
Yeah, some of
Without telling us too much because we know
I love a surprise. I love a surprise. I have some surprises planned. If Disney will, I feel like I got to really butter them up. I'm like, what can we do here? So next year, some of the differences that I can share are that it'll be 3 days instead of 2. The idea was to try and make the days not as long. Although now that I'm looking at all the speakers, I'm like, how am I going to make it not as long? So I'm not really sure how that part's going to go, but that is the idea. That's the concept. And the theme is neurodivergence and misfit narratives in clinical reimagining. I had this shirt, I want to be where the people aren't. And I was like, that's going to be the theme for next year. And another little like Easter egg of how I handled the conference this year. Everybody was asking me about 2027. And I was just like, I get it. But also like, oh my God, I just got here. Like, what if this sucks?
Let me chill.
I would have had to have the conference ready already. Like, what? But I did have it ready and I did have everything ready to go. But every time people asked, I'd be like, I don't really know. So then in my talk, so the whole day I'm wearing the shirt that says, I want to be where the people aren't. And then at the end of my talk, I said, you know, people are asking me what I'm going to do. Took a video that I had just filmed in the hallway where the space was going to be next year. And I put the video up and it's like, that would be insane. But I don't know, something about this place over here. And then I took the video down and everyone's like, clapping. They're like, and it was like, I think we're gonna come back next year. But like, I'm sitting there like, I had the theme here the whole time on my shirt. Like you guys thought it was just a Little Mermaid look, but I'm just dropping little surprises. So I'll say, in addition to those things, like, yeah, I've got some surprises up my sleeve that I'm excited about that I think I'm gonna be able to pull off if Disney gives me permission, and I'll just wear them down. So they say yes to me.
Well, I love it.
Yay.
We love your energy. You're a woman on a mission, and
Mhm.
mission accomplished for the first clinically ever after. It was such a amazing experience. Like, I think, I speak for me, Ariel, and all the other attendees, is like, we have a different outlook on ourselves and our
Mhm.
professions, and just you being authentically you kind of shine
Yes.
through all of that, and a little bit of your pixie dust went on everybody,
Yeah.
and it created
Yeah.
this amazing experience. I feel like we've all only known each other for such a short amount of time, but
Yeah.
I feel like
Mhm.
we're already Disney besties, which is
Yeah.
I
Disney magic
know.
plus XYZ. So
Mhm.
It really is. And thank you guys for being a part of it and taking a chance on me too. Like, I'm like, you guys don't even know who I am, like how this is gonna go. Yeah. And when you showed up and you were like, we thought there were gonna be 40 people here, but there were like 100 here. I was like, oh yeah, whoopsie. So thank you guys for coming and taking a chance, and you guys just fit in so well. And I agree, like I feel so connected to you guys in the little bit of time that we were able to spend with each other. And I'm like sending stuff. I'm like this. I get algorithm for Disneyland snacks, and I'm so triggered because I am not in Disneyland. Like that's not my coast, and so I feel like I gotta make a trip and do a little
with us.
Disneyland hang. Yeah,
we definitely need to do like a swap like day. One day you come here to Disneyland, and another day we get to do Disney World. Very as
I really want to compare the snacks. Like I really, because I'm seeing the snacks and I'm like, these feel I don't know, they feel next level at Disney. Disney World has good snacks, but I don't know if it's because I can't have them like as accessibly that I'm building them up, or if what's the real comparison?
We may be biased, but as Disneylanders, we believe our snacks are superior.
Yeah.
And we hold them to a very high standard, because the minute something is not good, social media will know about it and they will get blasted that it's not good.
Yeah.
So we are very harsh critics.
And the local community. So I think something to just note as like a big difference is people who go to the parks every day also live like across the street. So their voices are heard very loudly.
I can pick up on that. I can pick up on that vibe just from being on social media. I see that. But I want to do like a comparison of the snacks. And
let's do a series on it, and then
break it down.
And we can let everyone know that Disneylanders and Disney Worlders can coexist in harmony.
Yes.
East Coast,
West Coast. No more feud. We all know it was manufactured, so we've heard in the documentary. So it was all made up, fake news.
It was all made up. All right. Well, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of The Happiest Pod on Earth. Thank you, Shaelene, for joining us. Where can people find you, and where can they sign up for the next Clinically Ever After?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram a lot. You can follow me at Rebelmente, REBELMENTE, or you can go to clinicallyeverafter.com, and that'll take you to the waitlist, and any other cool Disney related ideas that I come up with will be filtered through that email list first. So go there and check it out.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Bye.